Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is a screencast-o-matic presentation and recording for the part of the lesson that has looking at an introduction and overview of Greece, geography, history, and culture. Before we get started, please let me encourage you to open up to today's lesson and to scroll down the correct section. And please remember to answer the key concept questions that coincide with the readings, and also please remember to complete the exercises accordingly. Remember that you can replay any part of this presentation for detail, clarity, and repetition later on. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to Greece. An introduction. Greece is a country in southeastern Europe. The country is made up of mainland Greece and about 2,000 islands. Crete is Greece's largest island, and Greece borders Albania, Macedonia, and Bulgaria to the north, and Turkey to the east. Nature. Greece used to be a forested country. Over the years, most forests were cut for firewood and to make place for farmland, in order to protect the remaining natural sites and ancient landmarks. The Greek government created various national parks across the country. In terms of people, ethnic Greeks make up over 90% of the population. The largest minority groups include Turks, Macedonians, and Albanians. Nearly the entire population speaks Greek. It is a modern version of the ancient Greek language. In terms of economy, the services industry, including tourism, transportation, and banking, are the largest sector of the Greek economy. Each year, over 10 million tourists visit Greece to see its natural beauty and ancient monuments. In terms of government, Greece has a republic type of government. A president serves as the head of state, and the government is led by a prime minister. A group of cabinet ministers are responsible for running the different government departments, and they are appointed by the president. At this time, you may proceed to answer the key concept questions and finish the exercises that correspond to the first half of that reading. Then let's resume to the next reading on geography. Geography. Greece is located in southeastern Europe, occupying the southern part of the Balkan Peninsula. The country is divided into three geographical regions: the mainland, the Peloponnese Peninsula, and the islands. Greece is bordered by the Aegean Sea to the east, the Ionian Sea to the west, and the Mediterranean Sea to the south. The Peloponnese Peninsula forms the southernmost part of the Greek mainland. It is separated from the mainland by a 4-mile man-made canal called the Corinth Canal. About 80% of the country's landscape is made up of hills and rugged mountains, and the western side of Greece is dominated by a mountain range with steep peaks called the Pindus Mountains. The range is part of the Dinaric Alps that stretches from Albania and Macedonia to the south of Greece. The run-up mountains are heavily forested and run along the border with Bulgaria. Most of the mountains are situated in Bulgaria, and about one-fifth of its southern portion stretches into northern Greece. Mount Olympus is Greece's highest point at an elevation of 9,570 feet, and the ancient Greeks believed that Mount Olympus was home to the gods. It was thought that from the height, the gods watched over the people's lives. There are about 2,000 islands along the coast of Greece too. Crete and Evia are the two largest islands, and the country's largest island groups include the Argo-Saronic, Cyclades, Donaticones, Ioan, Northeast Aegean, and Sporades. At this time, you may proceed to answer the key concept questions and or complete the exercises. Now let's move on to the next reading here, on ancient Greece. The area that we now know as Greece was home to one of the first European civilizations. The ancient Greeks had an advanced society with powerful city-states that thrived in culture, science, and the arts. Ancient Greek history is divided into three main periods: the Archaic period, the Classical period, and the Hellenistic period. Early ancient Greece. The first Greek civilization is known as the Minoan civilization, and it began around the year 3000 BC on the island of Crete, south of mainland Greece. Many centuries later, in the 1500s BC, another civilization arose, the Mycenaean civilization. The Mycenaeans were excellent builders and engineers. They created sculptures, bridges, and palaces. They were also great soldiers too. According to legend, the Mycenaeans fought a war against Troy, an ancient city in modern-day Turkey. After the Mycenaean age ended in about 1100 BC, Greece entered a new period, the Dark Age. It is called the Dark Age because not much is known about this period. Much of the ancient Greeks' art and scriptures disappeared, and historians believe it was a time of repression, wars, and economic problems. The Archaic period. In 800 BC, about 300 years after the Dark Age began, ancient Greek civilization began to emerge again. This period is known as the Archaic period, and during this time, the ancient Greeks developed many trade routes and established various city-states along the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea. The city-states were very different from each other and had their own laws and governments. They would even fight battles against each other. Athens and Sparta were the largest and most powerful city-states, and Athens was known for its advances in culture, art, and governance. The people of Athens were the first to experiment with democratically elected leaders. Sparta, on the other hand, was a city-state of warriors. They had the strongest army in Greece and expanded their territory by sending their troops to turn its neighbors into slaves. Despite all the differences, all of the Greeks identified themselves as one people, called the Hellenes. They spoke with the same language, had the same culture, and eventually there were over 1,500 city-states in Italy, Turkey, Spain, France, and North Africa. Next came the Classical period. Ancient Greece experienced a golden age during the Classical period between 480 BC and 280 BC. It was the time when the city-states constructed massive temples, such as the Parthenon. The Greeks made major developments in culture, science, and art during this time. For example, the city-state of Athens was governed by a democracy and great philosophers arose, such as Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. For this reason, Classical Greece is considered to be the cradle of Western civilization. The final part of Classical period was marked by Alexander the Great. He was the first ruler who had control of all of Greece and greatly expanded its territory. Then came the Hellenistic period. The death of Alexander the Great marked the beginning of the Hellenistic period. It lasted between 323 BC and 146 BC. The vast empire that Alexander left behind was divided into three main kingdoms in Macedonia, Egypt, and the Middle East. The Hellenistic period came to an end in 146 BC when the Romans invaded and made the Greek city-states part of the Roman Republic. However, the Romans allowed the Greeks to continue their way of life, including its culture, arts, and science. The Romans learned a lot from the Greeks too. They adopted much of Greek culture, such as religion, arts, and government. At this time, you may proceed to answer the key concept questions or complete the exercises, and then we'll move on to the next reading. Let's move on to the next reading about Greek culture. The ancient Greek civilization not only laid the basis for Greece's culture today, but it also had an immense influence on Western civilization. Elements of ancient Greek culture can be seen across the world in terms of science, arts, architecture, and government. Clothing. Most Greek people wear modern clothing today. However, on certain festivals and celebrations, some people wear traditional Greek clothing. These costumes vary between the mainland and the islands, although they have several common elements. The Greek national costume is called the fustanella. Today, the costume is primarily worn by the presidential guards, and the outfit consists of a wide-sleeved white shirt worn with an embroidered woolen vest. One of the most common traditional dresses for women is the karkarona, and it is used as a wedding dress in central Greece. It is a colorful dress that includes many layers. Sports. Greece has an incredibly long history with sports, as it was home to the original Olympic Games in ancient times. Today, soccer is the most popular sport in the country, and the Greek people are very proud of their national team, as they won the Euro Cup in 2004. Religion. The Greek Orthodox Church is the main religion in Greece. About 90% of the population is Christian Orthodox. The Orthodox Church is the third largest branch of Christianity, after the Roman Catholics and the Protestants. The religion dates back to the days of the Byzantine Empire and has been the most dominant religion in Greece ever since. Muslims make up the largest religious minority. Other religious groups include Roman Catholics and Protestants too. At this time, you may proceed to answer the key concept questions and complete the exercises. Now let's move on to the next section on food. So Greek cuisine had a very long history and many different kinds of dishes. Some of the dishes which were eaten thousands of years ago are still cooked even today. The first cookbook having details of the Greek cuisine was written in about 350 BC. Over the years, the Greek diet has been influenced by traditions from the East and West. In ancient times, the Persians from the Middle East introduced yogurt, rice, and sweets, and the Europeans introduced pasta and sauces. Fish, vegetables, olive oil, feta cheese, and meat are the main ingredients of typical Greek dishes. Since the country has a long coastline, fish and seafood are common ingredients. However, the inland regions of Greece use more meat and cheese in their cooking. Olives. Olives have been cultivated in Greece for thousands of years, and many typical Greek dishes are prepared with olives or olive oil. Feta. Feta is a salty, crumbly cheese made from the mixture of sheep and goat milk. It is one of the most used ingredients in Greek cuisine. Down here is tzatziki, which is traditional Greek sauce made with yogurt, cucumber, garlic, and olive oil. The sauce is often used as a dip for grilled meats and pita bread. Greek salad. Many Greeks eat Greek salad with almost every meal. It is made of tomatoes, olives, cucumber, and pieces of feta. Up here is moussaka. Moussaka is Greece's most famous dish. It is an oven-baked dish that is prepared with layers of minced meat, eggplant, tomato, and onion. Down here is souvlaki, which is Greece's favorite fast food. It is prepared with chunks of skewered pork, tomato, and onions, and is often served with tzatziki on the side. Down here are gyros. Gyros is somewhat similar to souvlaki. It consists of pork, fries, and tomatoes. Served with tzatziki sauce, it is either wrapped in pita bread or served on a plate. And then down here is baklava, which is probably Greece's most popular dessert. It can be found throughout Greece, Turkey, and the Middle East. It is a sweet, crunchy pastry with layers of phyllo dough, nuts, and honey. At this time, you may proceed to answer the key concept questions and complete the exercises, and then we'll move into the final reading passage for today. Let's move into the final reading passage on attractions. The Acropolis. The Acropolis is a rocky hill situated in the city of Athens. The hill is home to various ancient Greek structures such as temples, theaters, and monuments that date back to the 5th century BC. The Parthenon is the most famous structure of the Acropolis, and it was constructed in 477 BC and originally consisted of 58 columns that supported a roof, and over its history, the Parthenon has served as a temple, a fortress, a church, and a mosque. Down here is Delphi. Delphi was the most important religious site in ancient Greece. The religious center was dedicated to Apollo, the god of music and healing. The site is made up of ruins of numerous temples, a theater, and a stadium, and dates back from between 8th century BC and the 2nd century AD. Up here is Meteora, which is located in the center of Greece and consists of 6 monasteries that are situated on top of massive rock pillars. The first monastery was constructed in the 14th century AD, and the monasteries were used as refuge for Eastern Orthodox monks who fled from the Ottomans. It was very difficult to access the monasteries. Therefore, long ladders or large nets were used to haul up goods and people. Down here is Zinthos, which is an island in the Ionian Sea and popular holiday destination. The island features spectacular scenic spots such as beaches, sea caves, and diving sites. And down here is Santorini, which is a volcanic island that is part of the Cyclades. The towns of Fira and Oia are the most famous as they are situated at the edge of a cliff that is 1,300 feet high. The towns feature typical Cycladic white houses, and most of these houses have been transformed into little hotels to accommodate visitors. So there you guys have it. All the things that might help you understand a little bit more objectively the real Greece in terms of its history, culture, and geography. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good luck with completing the rest of the lesson.